Welcome back to Narrator Nerd. Today, I am going to explain a Japanese mystery thriller film called Honor Student, which was released in 2021. The movie begins with a scene in a high school in a small Japanese town, where a teacher is announcing the test results to the senior students of the school. One of the students is Asuka, a friendly but academically dumb student. Even though the test was the easiest one so far, she doesn't get any answers right and scores 0. But her boyfriend Henry looks at the brighter side. He encourages her and says, "0 is your lucky number, so don't worry about it." But when the teacher hears this, he gets very upset. He tells Asuka that studying isn't supposed to be fun. If she doesn't get serious about her studies, her future looks dark and she won't be able to find a job. Then it is time for another history test that Asuka dreads. The first question asks her to name a monument that is famous for granting wishes when offered a coin. She doesn't know the answer, but instead of leaving the space blank, she writes the name of a random place called Gachimao. As she writes it, a mysterious bright light can be seen outside the window. Somewhere in the city, a rainforest begins to grow, and many trees appear along with a hidden jungle path. The following day, she and Henry are on their way to school when they come across the path. They do not remember it being there prior to today, which makes them very curious. Letting curiosity take the best of them, the couple decides to explore it. After walking a little further, they discover an old shrine, whose name they cannot pronounce. Asuka offers a coin there and wishes to score 100 marks on her next test. Then the two return to school without thinking much of the exploration. They get the result of the previous test and Asuka scores 5 out of 100. So she starts to think that her faith in the shrine's power was pointless. That day, the class has yet another quiz about world politics. The first question asks them the name of the current Japanese prime minister. Asuka doesn't have a clue, but instead of leaving the paper blank, she writes Henry's name on it and randomly fills in other questions. After that, she gets bored and decides to take a short nap during the exam. After school, Asuka and Henry go to her house to hang out. As soon as they walk in, they hear the noise of her parents arguing. Her father is a salesman who is about to be laid off while her mother has an affair with a younger man. Asuka asks Henry to ignore them and brings him to her room. On the way, he notices empty plates and bowls outside a door. It's then revealed that Asuka has a twin brother named Kevin. He used to be the best in his studies even since elementary school. He never scored anything less than a full score on every test. But one day, he took a high school entrance exam and failed. After that, he couldn't handle the disappointment. Even though everyone thought he was smart, failing the test broke him completely. He locked himself in his room and stopped talking to anyone. Now he spends all his time there playing video games. Asuka sulks after talking about her brother. To make her feel better, Henry goes to the supermarket to get them something to eat. Meanwhile, we see Asuka's teacher grading her latest test paper. Suddenly, the shrine starts glowing and so do the teacher's glasses. On the other side, Asuka calls Henry and asks him what is taking so long. Henry claims that he is terribly busy and won't be able to hang out today. After hanging up, Asuka gets a message from one of her classmates saying that Henry is in huge trouble. He has somehow been chosen as Japan's new prime minister. The interviews of him posing for the camera as the prime minister is going viral on social media. The next day at school, Asuka is still confused about how her boyfriend, who went to the grocery store, became the prime minister. Later that day, the news reports that several world leaders, including some presidents and prime ministers, have mysteriously gone missing. During class, the teacher walks in and announces the test results. When he calls Asuka's name, he happily tells her that she got a perfect 100 score. Asuka is completely shocked because she knows she answered most of the questions wrong and even left some blank. Then how could she possibly get a perfect score? On taking a closer look, she remembers that she wrote Henry's name as the answer for who is the current prime minister of Japan. Similarly, the presidents of other countries are going missing because she left all other questions blank. The shrine has granted her the wish, but in a strange and unexpected way. Somehow, the world is now changing based on whatever she writes on her test papers. Realizing this, Asuka decides to fix her mistakes. She Googles all the correct answers and writes them down on the test paper. Soon after, her friend Henry, who had suddenly become prime minister, gets fired from the position. The presidents from around the world are also found instantly and everything goes back to normal. The next day, Asuka has a math test. This time, Asuka is not nervous because she thinks that nothing much can be changed if she answers wrong in a math test. After school, Henry meets Asuka again and tells her how he was fired. Asuka decides to tell him her secret, that whatever she writes on her test paper actually changes the world in real life. He doesn't believe her at first, so he gives her a piece of paper to test her power. But before she can even write anything, a nearby tower starts shaking. This is because of a mistake she made in the math test. They both rush to the teacher's office to find Asuka's test paper. Once they correct her mistake, the tower immediately stops trembling. Even experts all over the country are confused and can't explain what caused the shaking. Afterward, Asuka decides to return to the shrine to make another wish. But when she arrives, she discovers the shrine has completely disappeared. Since they do not remember the name, they have no way to look for it again. Now she realizes that if she wants everything to stay normal, she must write every test answer correctly. Not wanting to cause more trouble, Asuka spends the night studying hard for her next exam. But after a while, she gets tired and falls asleep. In the following scene, Asuka and Henry are outside the teacher's room, patiently waiting for him to grade the recent test papers. As expected, Asuka gets the full marks, but she hopes she doesn't make a significant change in the world. On returning home, her father greets her excitedly, having made the biggest sale of his career, because Asuka unknowingly wrote that tap water is the most valuable source of energy in the last test. This made people buy more water purifiers and in turn, made her father a lot of money. She panics for a second, but after seeing her father happy, she decides to keep the world as it is for now. But soon, she hears on the news that people are starting to steal water and things are getting out of control. Asuka quickly corrects the answer sheet and changes the world back to normal. Asuka then thinks she can use her strange power to bring her parents closer together. When there is a question on her next test asking who should be the next person to go into space, she writes the name of the man her mother liked, the same man who distracted her mother from paying attention to her husband. After Asuka writes his name, that man is sent to space and her mother becomes calm and starts focusing on her family again. Her parents get along better and they become a happy family once again. Now the only person she has to help is her twin brother Kevin. In the next test, she writes that her brother would come out and wish everyone good morning. But the plan doesn't work as she had thought, because instead of Kevin coming out, their father barges into his room and forces him to come outside, but he refuses. This situation causes more tension in the family. Asuka also knows that her father's business is struggling again. He has been threatened to be laid off and her mother has started texting other men. Asuka realizes that while some things are improving, her power only creates temporary solutions. She starts making an actual effort to talk to her brother. Since he is still an academic genius, she sits outside his door and studies out loud every day. She makes several mistakes that bothers Kevin, but he doesn't correct her for a few days. Then one day, she tries skipping a math problem because it is too difficult. Now Kevin talks for the first time and teaches her how to solve it. Because of her brother's guidance, Asuka starts studying harder, even though he only talks to her through a closed door. Slowly, things start getting better for Asuka. She is doing great in her studies. Eventually, her father also starts reading books for salesmen and puts extra effort into his work. Her mother also deletes all of her lover's numbers from her phone and focuses on her family. A week later, Asuka scores the full marks on a test without anyone's help. She runs to Kevin with the good news, but he refuses to open the door even then. The following morning, Asuka and her parents are at the dining table enjoying a meal. To their surprise, Kevin comes downstairs and greets them. He also apologizes to his father for giving up and promises to do better from now on. One day, on their way to school, Asuka and Henry find the first test paper inside Asuka's bag. She had torn it because she scored only 5 out of 100. She joins the pieces together, which suddenly forms the passageway to the shrine. Only then, she notices that she had written about a wish-granting shrine named Gotcha Mao as the very first answer. The shrine must have manifested because of it. They quickly goes to the shrine and begs to reverse the wish and change the world back to normal. They wait for something to happen but are disappointed when nothing changes. In school, the teacher takes yet another test, this time about world geography and population. Suddenly, Asuka remembers that the shrine only granted her wish because she offered a coin. This means to reverse the wish, she will have to take the coin back. She quickly completes the test and rushes to get it back. However, the coin is inside a locked chest. She uses a stick to try to get it out and is almost successful. Somewhere else, Kevin and his parents are chatting about his future. He is happy to finally have gotten over the trauma and is excited for the life ahead. Asuka's mother also apologizes to her husband for ignoring him in the past. At the same time, Asuka's teacher is grading the tests. When he reaches Asuka's paper, he once again gives her a perfect 100 as usual. Just then, Asuka manages to lift the coin from the box, but it slips and falls back in. Suddenly, the coin shines a bright light on her. When the light fades, Asuka and the shrine are both gone. Not just Asuka, everyone from her school has disappeared too. In fact, the entire city, country, and the whole world is now empty, as if every human being vanished out of the blue. Then we learn what actually happened. Asuka missed the final question in the recent test. The question asks what the current world population is. Since Asuka left it blank, the population of the entire world simply vanished. So friends, if you enjoyed the movie, please like, comment, and subscribe to help the channel out. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.